You don't belong here. This seat wasn't meant for someone like you. The words sliced through the air like a blade. They weren't whispered. They weren't hidden behind a smile or muttered under breath. They were declared out loud, for everyone to hear with a kind of disdain so confident it could only have come from someone used to getting their way. The gate agent, a stern-faced woman in a navy blue blazer with a platinum badge that caught the morning light, stared down at the young black girl in front of her. She snatched the first-class boarding pass from her hand, lips curled with something sour. "You need to head back to economy," the woman said. Her voice rang through the gate terminal, cutting through the idle chatter, the rustling of newspapers, and the low hum of rolling luggage. The girl stood still. She was no older than 19. Slender, hair pulled back in neat braids that shimmered under the fluorescent lighting. Her clothes were simple but crisp: an ivory blouse, black trousers, flats that had clearly walked long miles. Around her neck, a small silver pendant glinted, the kind that meant something personal. Her fingers trembled slightly, but her eyes didn't flinch. "No," she said calmly, her voice clear. "That's my seat." The gate agent scoffed. "You must be confused. That's a mistake. First class is for priority passengers. Corporate. VIP. Not." She paused, then leaned in, voice low but still loud enough to carry. "Not for charity cases." The girl didn't respond, didn't argue, didn't explain. She simply lifted the pass the agent had dropped onto the floor and held it up again. Same seat, same name, same printed barcode. The crowd around them shifted. Some glanced away, pretending not to see. Others stared curious, indifferent, some even nodding in quiet agreement with the agent. A businessman behind her checked his watch impatiently. A couple in matching sports jackets shook their heads and whispered. And the girl? She stood still, like a statue carved in quiet defiance. The only thing that moved was the set of her jaw. Her name was Naomi Sinclair. She had grown up in a modest home in Southside Chicago, raised by her grandmother after her mother passed away when Naomi was just 5. Her father was never in the picture. Life hadn't been easy, but her grandmother taught her one thing every day, like scripture. No one gives you your worth. You walk in it. Naomi learned to walk tall, through hallways that narrowed when she passed, through stores where eyes followed her like motion sensors, through schools where teachers confused her silence for stupidity and her determination for attitude, and most of all, through doubt, the kind that crept in late at night when the world was quiet and reminded her she didn't look like the ones on the brochures, the banners, the billboards. Still, she pushed. She earned a scholarship to one of the top business programs in the country, not because of a handout, but because she aced her exams, led debate teams, organized neighborhood cleanups, and worked part-time at a diner until midnight to pay for everything else the scholarship didn't cover. And now, after 2 years of school, internships, and perfect grades, she had been chosen to represent her university at an international youth summit in Zurich. The organization sponsoring the event, one of the largest banking institutions in the world, had not only selected her as their keynote student speaker, but also upgraded her ticket as a show of support. That's how she got the first-class seat. She didn't ask for it. She earned it. But none of that mattered to the woman at the gate. A soft cough interrupted the standoff. A tall man in a charcoal suit stepped forward from the line. His salt and pepper hair was combed back with precision, and he carried himself with the quiet authority of someone used to making billion-dollar decisions before breakfast. He looked down at the name on Naomi's boarding pass, then up at her face. "Excuse me," he said to the agent. "Is there a problem here?" The woman stiffened. "This young lady is attempting to sit in a section that doesn't." "She's sitting next to me," the man said simply. "She's with our delegation." "Any other issue?" The agent blinked. It was Lawrence Hartwell, CEO of the very company sponsoring the event. A man who had once been called Wall Street's gentleman wolf. He had personally read Naomi's submission essay, had underlined every line that moved him, and insisted she attend. But she didn't identify herself as. "She doesn't have to explain herself to you," Hartwell cut in, his voice now steel. "What she does need is an apology." There was a silence so thick you could hear the snap of a suitcase zipper 4 rows down. The agent turned pale. Her mouth opened, then closed. Naomi still hadn't moved. Hartwell turned to her. "Shall we?" Naomi nodded. She walked past the gate agent, boarding pass still in hand, shoulders square. She didn't look back, but the crowd did. And slowly, they began to whisper a different tune. Inside the aircraft, the air was cooler, the lighting dimmer, more serene. Naomi slid into the wide leather seat by the window, fingers resting gently on the armrest, still feeling the imprint of judgment that had tried to push her out. Hartwell took the aisle seat next to her. He leaned over slightly, offering a quiet smile. You handled that with more grace than most heads of state I've met. Naomi smiled faintly. I've had practice. He nodded. You'll do well in Zurich. You already are. As the plane taxied and lifted into the sky, Naomi stared out the window. The clouds looked different from up here, softer, almost welcoming. But what stayed with her wasn't the flight. It was the moment before. The reminder that no matter how far you've come, someone will still try to clip your wings. But if you remember who you are, if you stand still in the truth of your own earned place, not inherited, not gifted, they cannot move you. 3 days later, Naomi stood on the main stage of the Zurich Grand Conference Hall. In a tailored navy blazer and slacks, she delivered her keynote address to a packed room of executives, diplomats, and scholars. She spoke of dignity, of earned opportunity, of silent defiance in the face of loud prejudice. She didn't name the gate agent, didn't mention the incident, but she ended with this. Sometimes the doors you walk through weren't built for you, but that doesn't mean you weren't meant to walk through them. Build them again, widen them, reinforce them. So the next girl, who looks like me, doesn't have to fight for a seat, she'll just take it. The crowd stood, applauded, and in that moment, Naomi Sinclair didn't just belong. She led.